We're back 8 months after the Browns lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. The Josh and Joe Browns podcast is back. It's awesome to be back, honestly. It's awesome to talk Browns. It's been too long, it seems like. But yeah, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, wherever you want to talk everywhere. Browns, just like usual. Yeah, we're live everywhere. And if you're tuning in late, we're on. This will be turned into a podcast as well. Make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, wherever. We're live and we're on podcasts everywhere. So please subscribe, please comment, everything. Just give us some love. But yeah, we're back. I'm Josh Paloha. He's Joe Gilbert, and we are about to preview a Browns season, which as a 30-year-old is probably the most legitimate hype and optimism I've had in my life. Joe, welcome back.
Welcome. Thank you. Great to be back. I can't wait for Sunday, but I'm 30 years old too, and this is definitely the most hype we've ever had for a season. I don't think there's anyone close to it, actually.
Actually, there needs to be an asterisk. 2 years ago with Freddie Kitchens, we had plenty of hype, but it wasn't real. This is real hype. And before I forget, this be a part of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Craig would probably kill me if I ever forget that. So that is very important. But yeah, we're here to preview the Browns season, kind of recap the offseason. A very good offseason, I'd say, for the Browns. It was one that, if you would have told me 5 years ago would be like the offseason that the Browns would have, I wouldn't have believed you. David Njoku a year ago said that he wanted to be traded. 1 year later, present day, now he wants an extension. I feel like tight end, the second best tight end on the team, that's not really that big of news. But and that little thing tells you so much about just the Browns' current team, the current regime, their current head coach. That would have never happened prior to Kevin Stefanski. Let's be honest.
He would have been traded already, actually.
True. He would have probably for a 7th-round draft pick.
Right. He would have been traded right away. It wouldn't have been even a question. But yeah, it's amazing the culture that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski has already built in a year and a couple days, a couple months here. It's quite amazing. And it just shows you the thing that we've been looking for all these years, and shows how important it is the culture. Having just a one strong unified voice in there. It's amazing what what it can do for a team and their success and getting people to come here.
Speaking of voices, I was going to talk about this later, but Baker Mayfield and Myles Garrett, they might not be the biggest. Okay, Baker Mayfield is a talker. Myles Garrett lets his play do the talking. But you can't really ask for better leaders on both sides of the ball. And that's not even including a guy like Jarvis Landry, who, from the moment he came to Cleveland, was obviously the biggest team leader. But you can't have enough leaders on the team and enough voices, positive voices, and Baker, Jarvis, and even, OBJ, obviously OBJ does all the talking, but I don't know. It's just everything seems good going into this season, and
it does.
It's hard. It's hard to grasp that as a Browns fan. It truly is.
Yeah, and they needed some on defense, and they added some in John Johnson this offseason. Anthony Walker at linebacker. I feel like they saw that the leadership needed and strengthened on defense, and they went ahead and did it. And I don't think we take give enough credit towards leadership and just a veteran presence on teams. It showed with Myles and the D-line, but they didn't have much going on in the secondary, and I believe that's going to be a huge factor this year. Just there's someone that knows what they're doing out in the linebackers in the secondary, which is there weren't that many last year.
If you could describe the defensive backfield and linebackers last year, just replay what Joe just said. The Browns finally have someone that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Seriously though, the biggest need this offseason was the defensive backfield and linebackers. And I mean, they didn't add a big name linebacker, although I guess you could say JOK is a big name, but it was through the NFL draft. But what they did in free agency to improve the defensive backfield, I mean, Greedy Williams, he missed a lot of last season, but now he's the third best cornerback when he's healthy. Yeah. Hopefully he's healthy. But I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better offseason free agent signing wise than the Browns did in the defensive backfield.
Yeah. I think if we go back to our last podcast, I think we talked about they needed to hit the defense hard, and they did it. They did exactly what we were talking about. They added 2 really strong veterans in the secondary that are both leaders and really talented players. They added a linebacker who can be a leader. He got strong recommendations from his Colts teammates, so that's a great sign. And then just adding talent with Jadeveon Clowney is another just amazing signing. It's amazing how much they got done in one offseason to overhaul this defense, because coming out of last year it was a rough unit, and they completely overhauled it.
I'll be honest, I'm a Clowney fan, but I think he's a bit overrated just because of that one hit that he put on the Michigan running back in the Outback Bowl, 5-6 years ago. But if he can stay healthy, opposite of Myles Garrett, plus on a 1-year deal, I think you're going to get the best Clowney you can possibly get, because not only does he have motivation to show that he can be the real deal, but he's on a 1-year deal. So whatever he does this year, the better he is, the more money he gets, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think he's the most talented guy they've ever had alongside Myles.
I feel like that doesn't have much competition. But
yeah, Olivia Vernon, he was good for stretches. But yeah, the talent, like when healthy, which is obviously, if we're going to talk about it later in the show here, health is going to be a huge factor in the success of this team, because they're banking on a lot of guys that had some kind of tough health last couple of years, so it's going to be interesting to watch that. But yeah, getting back to Clowney, I just think if he can stay healthy and show what he can truly do, it's going to be a fun duo to watch all year. I really believe that it's one of the things that people don't like. He doesn't get the sack numbers, but his pressures and then just his run defense is just going to be hugely important to this team. And I can't wait to watch them too. Hopefully he's not sick seriously today. But yeah, let's hope he gets on the field, and I can't wait to watch those two battle it out.
All right. So 2 things that I thought of when you were talking. One, I feel like as fans, we put way too much stock in sacks. It's easy to go on the box score and say, how many sacks, I can't even talk. How many sacks did Myles Garrett have today? Oh, he had 0. He must not have had a good game. But in this day and age where offenses are very pass heavy, let's be honest. Sundays would be a perfect example of that. Patrick Mahomes, you can let Kansas City run the ball all you want, but Patrick Mahomes is going to be that guy that beats you. And with Clowney and Myles Garrett, I think quarterback pressures are more important than sacks. Obviously, if you get home, that's great. But if you say Myles Garrett gets 15 quarterback pressures this season and 15 sacks, that is a horrible season. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I agree. Pressures, because pressures can create just bad decisions. It can create rush throws, having to do the checkoff to the running back or short gain, which causes maybe a 3rd down to go to a 4th down. Pressures are. We were talking in our Discord with Michael Lodi. He said 100 pressures should be the goal for the tandem this year, and I agree. If they can stay healthy, pressure should be the one what we should look for. Sacks are sacks are sometimes a lucky kind of stat. Things have to fall perfectly because you can always have a quarterback just throws it away or someone else takes your sack. It's pressures that we want to look for, and I expect Clowney and Garrett to be very filled with those pressures all year.
Yeah, and let's be honest, it's very cliche, but if the Browns' front four can pressure the quarterback, including big-time Patrick Mahomes, that makes the defensive backfield's job so much easier. The longer that the quarterback is in the pocket, the longer that the quarterback has to look down the field. No matter how you can have Jalen Ramsey and Denzel Ward as their cornerbacks, and eventually an NFL wide receiver is going to get open.
Yeah.
So the front four: Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, Andrew Billings, McDowell, McKinley. I'm missing a few, but if they can put pressure on the quarterback, that is huge for this defense, no matter how good the defensive backfield is.
Yeah, and it's the other way around too. Our improved secondary is going to help them. How many times in Myles Garrett's career has he been like a half second to the sack, but the secondary breaks down in under 2 seconds? It's going to be a nice compliment to each other. That we're gonna have to see if they can all just come together and do that. But yeah, the defense, the potential for this defense is extremely high. It's tenfold from last year. But things have to come together. Health, just getting comfortable with each other, and then just the system overall. Everyone learning the system. It's got to come together, but the potential is definitely there.
The potential in the head, that was another thing I was going to talk about. Health. 17 game regular season. That is a very long. It's only one additional week, but that is a very long regular season, especially when there's only there's only one bye week. And I think the Browns is week 13. So they have to go 12. They basically have to go 3 months to start the year without a bye week. That is tough. When you think of the defense, there are a lot of what ifs. What if Jadeveon Clowney can stay healthy? What if Denzel Ward can stay healthy? What if Greedy Williams can stay healthy? And those are just three. Greedy Williams isn't technically a starter anymore, but those are just 3 of the 11 positions on the field where you're like iffy about if they can stay healthy because they've been yet to be able to do it. So I feel like the talent is there, like you said, but health and depth is such a big. If you're going to make a Super Bowl run, you need to have depth. If you're going to make a Super Bowl run during a 17-game regular season, depth might be more important than anything else, to be honest.
Right, yeah. And I think the Browns built a lot of depth on the defense at some areas. Like, I think the secondary, they got 4 corners that can play any position on inside or outside. And AJ Green played really well this offseason, preseason. So he could be a 5th guy. And then safety, they have 3 really good ones if they obviously stay healthy. And then a fourth one, Richard LeCount, who's a rookie. He looked good too. So I think the secondary has solid depth. It's the edge rushing is a bit scary right now. We haven't seen Takk McKinley all preseason. He left obviously for personal reasons during the training camp, then came back. I think it was like 2 weeks before the regular season. So it'll be interesting to see how he develops. I think he's one of the big keys for that position because there's not much options after him. Joe Jackson, then you got a practice squad guy who they just recently signed. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see the edge. Defensive line is definitely something to keep an eye on. I feel like the interior is pretty deep, but not like super talented. They don't have like a surefire guy like last year. We knew Sheldon Richardson was going to be the guy to handle the starting duties. This year, it could it could go with a hot hand. I could see by the end of the year, Elliott and McDowell taking the jobs there and being the major contributors there. So it's going to be interesting to watch them. But they have a lot of bodies and interior. It's just the edge rusher. I'm a little bit eerie about, but we'll see.
It's crazy that the Browns arguably had the best defensive end in the NFL, and Jadeveon Clowney, and the position that we're worried about defensively is defensive end.
Right. Yeah. It's all.
It shows you how much depth matters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Depth truly matters. I mean, what? So yeah, it used to, like I said, it used to just get through 16 games, but now it's 17 games. And let's be honest, if the Browns don't make the playoffs this year, and this is really weird to say, it's a huge disappointment.
Right.
So you need your guys to stay healthy. It's easy to say. It's obviously not going to happen. When was the last time everyone on the NFL team stayed healthy? But the Browns just need to stay as healthy as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. At key positions, there's definitely positions where they can take an injury. As I said, secondary, many spots on offense. But yeah,
knock on wood.
Except for quarterback, obviously. We can't trust Case. But yeah, there's certain positions that getting an injury could be pretty tough for them to kind of replace them. So we got to go ahead and keep an eye on defensive line. Is definitely the spot for me just early on in the season. See how those guys develop because it doesn't look too deep right now.
Yeah. So enough about the defense. Let's talk about the offense, the fun part of the game, and the NFL that is very offensive heavy. The offense, it's hard to find a weak spot in the offense. Man, this is just another weird thing to say as a Browns fan.
I know.
Like quarterback, people are going to take this the wrong way. You can argue that the weakest spot on offense is quarterback, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I know. It just shows how deep it is and how talented. Like the offensive line, this is the best offensive line I've seen the Browns have, and we've had great ones with Joe Thomas and Steinbach and all those guys.
It's the best offensive line in the NFL, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. This is a unit where they can suffer an injury or two and still
Joe.
I know. I'm not saying to get an injury, but it's a team that can suffer, or a unit that can suffer too, and not really take a huge hit like in past or in many other teams would have. Like Michael Dunn, he's a player that could start for many teams. Chris Hubbard, we've seen him start for us, and he's been good in spots as a spot starter. It's just a luxury that the Browns have on the offensive line, and that's huge for this offense because they're going to be the offensive line is the driving force of the unit. Everything goes with the offensive line because you got to protect Baker, you got to set up the running game. It's going to be all through them, and that's why the Browns have heavily targeted that position to upgrade it the past couple of years.
And speaking, you brought the running game. So the Browns have the best offensive line in the NFL. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, they have the best running back duo in the NFL.
Yep.
And not only just those two, but Dearness Johnson and Demetric Felton showed plenty of promise in the preseason too. It's crazy how, just like the offensive line, just like the whole offense as a whole, how deep the running backs are and how good they are.
Yeah.
And it makes Baker's job so much easier.
Right. Yeah, I wrote this week, they probably have the best second running back and the best third running back in the league, and then a top 5 starting running back.
That seems pretty good.
Yeah. And probably the fourth best. Not many teams have 4 running backs, but we do, and he's probably the best one of that bunch too. Yeah, it's amazing the luxury they have there too. They can rest guys. That's why the extension. We can get into this too. The Chubb extension was such a smart move by them because he hasn't had the workload as like a Derrick Henry, other backs that you might be wary about giving a long-term contract because they've had so much workload on their backs. That's why Chubb and Hunt are so good together. They can give him a rest for maybe a couple series, and it doesn't take a huge blow to the offense, which is it's just a great luxury for this offense.
Yeah, it's like, all right, let's sit Nick Chubb down for a series just to give him some rest. Oh shoot, looks like we have to bring Kareem Hunt, another top 15 to top 20 running back in the NFL.
Right.
It's just so. It's just crazy how many options Kevin Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt have. And like I said, saying that Baker Mayfield is probably the worst position on the offense, it's not a jab at Baker. It's showing how good the offense is. And then wide receiver. So, no, let's leave wide receiver for last. Tight end. When Harrison Bryant's your third tight end, I'd say your tight end room is pretty damn good.
Yeah. Yeah, all three of them are going to contribute at a high level, and that's quite amazing for for any team. I think Njoku's going to have a breakout year. I really do. I think he's in the right mind frame, and I think at the end of the year, we saw that he was the best tight end on the roster. In that Chiefs game, he played extremely well. He can block. He's improved his blocking, which was one of the bigger negatives with him early on in his career, but he has improved to be one of the better blockers on the team. And I just expect big things from Njoku. If the Browns one of the things that the Browns want to do this year is expand their offense, and that I think that the number one thing is just threatening downfield more often. And I think Njoku and Odell Beckham, which we'll get to later, are two of the bigger guys that can threaten the defense downfield. So I believe the big plays can be run through Njoku too.
You're the segue master tonight. So downfield threats, wide receivers. OBJ, I mean, let's just throw it out there. How do you feel like, will he be, I don't know how to say this. It seemed like prior to his injury last year, OBJ was being forced the ball by Baker, and it seemed to mess Baker up, let's be honest. Because once OBJ went down, Baker seemed a lot more relaxed, and he just gave the ball wherever he wanted to at any time. He didn't really have like, hey, I need to throw it to this guy. I need to get him on the back score. Will OBJ come in and be part of the offense, or will he want to put up the stats, do you think?
It sure seems like he wants to just be part of the offense. I think part of the reason why we saw that jump was just Baker get more comfortable with the offense. It just happened to happen during the time frame he was out for the season. But we've seen it with other quarterbacks in this in Kevin Stefanski's type of offense. The second year, getting later in the first year, you see a big jump from them. So I expect huge things from Baker this year, and I think Odell will fit in perfectly for what they want to do to expand the offense, as I was saying, to get that vertical threat. But I don't think Baker will have – I don't think he'll be in the mind frame of forcing it this year because he knows the offense so well now that he knows where the ball should go. And he's not going to force it to Odell Beckham just because Odell Beckham should get the ball. He's going to throw it to where – the play call warrants it. So I expect big things from Odell. Obviously, we haven't seen him if he's fully healthy, but all the indications of like the videos and practices and all that he is in. He looks great and it looks like he's back to his full self. So that'll be huge for this offense if they can add a number one receiver in a offense that was already a top offense. That's a good thing to have.
Yeah, I'd say that seems pretty good. And I think the good thing when it comes to OBJ and getting targets and getting receptions is that the Browns offense did really well without OBJ. So it's very clear that they don't need OBJ. OBJ is just another added bonus. So if OBJ doesn't get the ball or if he demands the ball, I mean, this isn't going to happen. Let's be honest. But Kevin Stefanski and Baker can just be like, dude, we flourish without you. We won a playoff game without you. I think it's, like I said, I think it's just an added bonus to have OBJ rather than like, hey, we have to give him 10 targets a game, OBJ.
Right. And I think this is where the culture comes in. The Browns have created culture where it's about the team. It's about fitting into the system for the better of the team. And I think Odell seems to be buying into that. And that's why I don't think there's going to be any problem with trying to force it to him or him getting angry about not getting catches or anything. I think it'll come. He's too talented to not get open and get the opportunities. So I think it'll all work out well for him. And I can't wait to watch him in this offense when Baker's actually comfortable with it, like he showed at the end of last season. I can't wait to see what they do together.
It's weird to hear when talking about the Browns culture, having a strong culture, and just like winning football and a star like OBJ just having to fit in with the Browns. It's just like I said it earlier in the podcast, as a 30-year-old, all those words shouldn't be together, but yet here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to compare it to the Patriots because obviously they're how many times champions.
The Patriot way.
Yeah. They have a GOAT.
But let's be honest. Hey, but the Browns are better than the Patriots now. So,
yeah, that's true.
I'm just worried about the now. I'm not worried about the past. Same with the Steelers. The Browns are better than the Steelers now. I don't care about the terrible towel. I don't care how many rings you guys have. I'm just worried about now in this season. Yeah. Here we are.
But, yeah, they have the culture for the Patriot way. And they got a guy like Randy Moss way back then. He came out of the Oakland. He looked lost and kind of didn't look like the player that he was in Minnesota, and he came right into the Patriots and it just excelled because the culture allowed him to just slip right in and just be part of the team. And I believe that's what we'll see with Odell. Obviously, we might not see a record-breaking season.
So are you saying like a record-breaking season by Baker and Odell? All right, confirmed. Everyone mark this down.
Yes,
Joe is confirming Baker throws 50 touchdowns and OBJ catches 20 touchdowns.
Yes, but to a lesser extent, but we'll hopefully see something like that. And I believe they can definitely do that.
Absolutely. It's weird, or it's hard to find like a weak point on this team, honestly, right now. When we're talking about the weak point on defense being the defensive ends, who have Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, and then offensively, I mean, there's nothing really negative to say about any position group.
Yeah, there really isn't. There's not I did my rankings this week of the positions, and all the offense was in the top 6 or 7, I believe, of on the entire roster, and that's not even a slight to the defense. It just shows how strong they are in offense. And I don't know if we'll do bold predictions at the end of this, but I believe Baker's going to have a huge year. Just we'll give you a little snippet of what I'll
Joe
say.
Just confirmed that Baker Mayfield is on all of his fantasy football teams.
Yeah. I cannot confirm or deny.
All right. So the only worrisome part of this team, special teams. It has to be talked about. The Scottish Hammer, he came on, had a really good year 2 years ago, struggled last year. Kicker, Chase McLaughlin, I don't even know what to think, but usually special teams doesn't matter. Usually it's just like, oh, okay, he can kick a field goal, he can't. But when you're competing for a top seed in the playoffs and then from the postseason, special teams, especially in bad weather, is huge. How do you feel about the kicker and the punter on this team right now?
Yeah, I ranked them last in my rankings this week. I'm a little nervous about the kicker.
When haven't we, though?
Right.
Besides Phil Dawson, when
Phil
haven't
Dawson.
we been nervous?
Phil Dawson was the last one. Ever since he left, it's been downhill. Yeah, it was kind of a little scary that they signed that kicker in for the practice squad. It doesn't really show a lot of faith in their guy right now. So yeah, that's definitely the position I'm most worried about. Hopefully, I think the Browns are in the position where they're gonna try to not have to rely on it, especially kicker. They won't have to. They'll go for more fourth downs as we saw last year because Stefanski was very very liberal with going on fourth down. And I believe we'll see more of that, especially with this offense, a more comfortable offense. I think we'll see an even bigger emphasis on going for fourth downs. We might be like the Baltimore Ravens, where they kind of they seemingly, and even though they have like a Hall of Fame kicker, they still went through fourth downs quite often. So I think we'll see that. And then in terms of punting, I think the talent has always been there. It's just the consistency last year was just not very good. So I'm not too worried about the punting, but we'll see. Hopefully, he can bounce back from last year and return to his rookie year. And then coverage teams, that's another one I think people are not really talking about. We've lost a lot of special teams guys this offseason. We lost Joe Jack or not can't think of his name. Jackson. I can't think of his first name.
I can't either, to be honest with you. But before you go on, does that happen besides like the Nate Ebners of the world? Does that happen on playoff teams and championship? Hopefully, okay, I won't go that far. Playoff teams, because they don't want to spend money on special teams guys.
I would
a lot of
so.
interchangeable.
Yeah, because usually your special teamers are the back end of the roster, and that's usually the part of the team that most teams kind of transfer through and out. I agree with that. It's something that they still have to focus on and hopefully get a bunch of guys that can do it well. I think Deandre Felton, overall, he's going to be a huge special team contributor on coverage teams too. So that'll be a nice piece on there. And then, it's going to be the young guys will have to step up. Like LeCount, I think, will probably be on special teams. And AJ Green will probably be on special teams. But yeah, it's going to be the back end of the roster is usually the special teams guys, and that's usually where you see the turnover. So yeah, I would probably expect that. It just seemed like a lot. There was a lot. I think it was like the top 6 or 7 guys on the special teams last year are now gone, except for like maybe one. So it's just something to look out for. But it's not the biggest concern on special teams. Kicker is still, but it's something to watch early on this season.
With kickoffs being where they are, I think the 3 most important positions on special teams are, well, obviously long snapper, but we're not going to include that. Kicker, punter, and then your gunner on punts. The gunners, if you don't know, are the 2 guys on the outside, or 3, I guess sometimes. But if you can get good coverage by those guys, that makes a heck of a difference because 1, they'll either cause a fumble, or 2, it's a fair catch and you get the best field position possible. So if I don't know who's going to be the gunners, maybe Deandre Felton, maybe I don't even know. But those positions are vitally important.
Yeah. And I'm hoping on kickoffs, I really hope they don't do that short crap where they try to kick it short to the goal line. Please just kick it out of the end zone.
That is the same thing I say. Ohio State, watching Ohio State, they sometimes ball. I guess Ryan Day doesn't really do it, but Urban Meyer did all the time.
Just kick it
out of the end zone, please.
place. Just like penalties and injuries, it's just not worth it. Nothing is. It's just not worth it. Just give them the 25 yards and let's go. that's the biggest thing.
More. I could not agree more. All right, so we recapped every position group. We're obviously very positive. Like I said, defensively, the position we're most worried about is the position that Myles Garrett plays. That says a lot defensively.
Yeah. Yep.
Offensively, the position we're most worried about is Baker Mayfield. That says a lot. And special teams, all right. Yeah, definitely. I'm not worried about Baker either, but it just puts into comparison how good the offense truly is.
Right.
So, team as a whole, I know they've been ranked already by Bleacher Report and ESPN. If you were to rank the entire Browns roster on paper, this is important, it's on paper, where would you rank them with the rest of the NFL? I have my answer, so it's all you.
I would say top 3.
With 3. Who? Tampa Bay and who?
Tampa Kansas Bay and Kansas City. I would say Kansas City.
The thing, all right, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, they just Champa Bay, I guess we'll call them. It's obvious that they're the best team in the NFL right now.
They brought all their starters back, which is crazy.
That's crazy too. That is crazy. Kansas City, we know how good Patrick Mahomes is. We know how good Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, however you pronounce it. We know how good their receivers are. Their offensive line. I know Bodie said in Discord probably a month or two ago that they're very promising guys.
Oh, yeah.
But a few rookies, a few free agent signings. When you pay your quarterback $50 million, it's hard to keep a really good offensive line at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at you, Baker Mayfield, although it's not going to be 50, but let's be honest.
Yeah.
I feel like when you have a questionable offensive line, it throws off your entire offense. But then when you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes, I guess it doesn't really matter. But if you were a Kansas City fan and looking ahead to Sunday, how worried would you be about their offensive line?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the battle. That's going to be one of the biggest matchups in the whole game to see who it might actually tell us who wins. Like if they can. So it's the left side. The left side has the two veterans, Orlando Brown and Joe Tooney. So the left side is good, but the right side has 3 rookies. Creed Humphrey is their center. At guard, they have Trey Smith. He was from Tennessee, and then Lucas Niang at right tackle. All 3. Well, Niang I believe is second year, but he didn't play the year before. But the other 2 are rookies, so it's gonna be interesting. I would throw a lot at them if I was Joe Woods. I would put Myles on that side.
Put Myles on the rookie side, please.
Yes, put Myles on that side. Maybe send some blitzes. Send JOK in for a blitz because he's a great blitzer. At least he showed it in college. I would really try to put all the pressure on that and see how good they are. Obviously, they're talented. I was high on both Creed and Trey Smith coming out of college, but it's still a different jump coming starting from day one. When you don't have really a veteran leadership on your side, it's going to be interesting to see. And I would throw everything at them. I know Joe Woods doesn't really do a lot of. He doesn't like to do a lot of blitzing and all that. I would throw as much as I can at them, and just see if they can handle it. That will be the biggest test.
So the not having experience goes both ways. One, you should blitz because then I'll throw them in a loop.
Yep.
2, that might make you trust Myles Garrett more to get to the quarterback, which means that you shouldn't blitz because then if you can get to the quarterback, like I talked about earlier, if the front 4 can get to the quarterback and put pressure on,
right,
first this Sunday will be Patrick Mahomes, you have 7 guys in the defensive backfield against Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
And whoever.
I like how you call him Kelce.
It is. It's mostly Kelce, isn't it?
That's what he's saying. I don't know if we're supposed to, if he was just joking about it or not, but yeah, that's how.
Well, hey, we can't call Frankie anymore, so I need to.
That's true.
I need to go by Travis Kelce. Okay,
Yeah,
Cleveland boy. If he didn't play, I wish he's so cool, easy to like. Like he was at who had the charity softball game? Was it Denzel? Who? No, Baker.
No, Jarvis.
Jarvis. He came to that. Travis Kelce is so easy to like. I just wish he didn't play for the Chiefs.
I know. At least he doesn't play for Pittsburgh or Baltimore. So that is a positive.
True. But Pittsburgh, let's be honest. I mean, this can be bulletin board material for the 5 Pittsburgh people that are watching ever. Pittsburgh's irrelevant. Until they get an offensive line that's better than the worst in the NFL, they're irrelevant to me.
I would agree with that.
When you have a 60-year-old quarterback, the worst offensive line in the NFL, and you spend your first 2 draft picks on a running back and tight end, you're irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. And a defense that lost quite a few pieces in the secondary. So we'll see.
True. All right, so season as a whole. Actually, no. Let's stick with Kansas City. The number one thing, I hope to write about this either tonight or Saturday, if I find some time. Browns fans, please, whatever you do, don't overreact to Sunday. If they lose, it's one game. If they lose, it's not a big deal. It's one of 17. If they win, just like losing, it's one game.
Right.
If they win, it's not like they won the Super Bowl. It's not like they clinched them one seed in the playoffs. It's just one game. So please, do not overreact.
Let's just all rewind to last year at this time. We were going into Baltimore, and then just remember that result, and then remember what happened at the end of the season. This game does not tell you the whole season. It tells you a little snippet of how ready they are right now, but this one game at a time, and this game counts just one game. So
I can already see Browns Twitter overreacting, good or bad. Seriously, if they win, if they win, cool, it's one game. If they lose, cool, it's one game. You know what I mean? Right. I guess it's easy for me to say that. I'm not speaking for everyone else, but I can already see that so much of Browns Twitter is going to overreact to whatever the result is, no matter what.
Yeah. It's a good measuring stick, but that's it. It's just seeing how good they are right now, and you want your team to be the best playing at the end of the year. So if they lose by a couple touchdowns, then they have stuff to work on. If they win by a couple touchdowns, they still have stuff to work on.
Browns fans might throw a parade if they win by like 21. Let's be honest.
They will. I can't imagine Browns Twitter after if they win by a blowout.
It's one of those things where like I'd be excited if they won, but I'd be like, all right, it's time to stay off of Twitter for the rest of the night, please.
Yeah. Just enjoy it. All right, everyone, just enjoy it.
So, as Browns fans, we love playing the schedule game. Love it. It's a tradition unlike any other. Let's be honest.
Oh yes.
So let's play it.
Usually, it was like loss.
True. No. Preseason, it was win. Regular season is loss,
Actually,
win, loss.
Before we get into this, we have to congratulate Kevin Stefanski for matching the perfect preseason by Hugh Jackson. So congratulations.
Preseason champions, right?
Preseason champions.
I wonder how many shirts. I forget who sold that shirt. Where it's like Browns preseason champions. I wish I was a t-shirt company because a shirt as simple as that, I bet you they sold thousands.
Was when they went perfect? Was that the year that they lost all their games?
They went perfect in the preseason and imperfect in the regular season, which perfectly describes Cleveland Browns football prior to a couple years ago.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's get back into it.
Schedule game, bold prediction, whatever. At Kansas City, go.
I say they lose, but close, and in a shootout. Big shootout.
Okay.
I just don't think
it comes down to like one possession.
Yeah, I don't think the defense is ready to go yet to fully compete against just the powerhouse Kansas City Chiefs offense. But it's going to be a fun game. I can't wait.
But they will be in January or February. And speaking of, we've been seeing Browns 2021 season preview just because we're used to only playing the regular season. I think it's time to start seeing the Browns 2021-2022 season preview.
That's true. That's a good point.
I wrote that and I was like, do you know what? We need to start including 2022 because the playoffs, which we're not used to, going to next year. All right. So 0-1, home against Houston. Oh my gosh, if they lose that game.
Now that I could say, if they lose that one, we could start panicking a little bit. But
fighting Tyrod Taylors.
Right. Oh my God, I can't believe Tyrod's played. And they just traded another one of their guys, quarterbacks, Roby, Ohio State boy. There's no way they're losing that. So 1-1.
1-1. Hold on. I'm going to show this comment. I think the Browns aren't getting any love in this game. I think this game is going to be within 3 with a Browns win from Adam Roadhever? Sorry if I mispronounced your name. He was talking about the Kansas City game. So Kansas City, Adam has the Browns starting off at least 0-2. I dig it. Oh, and then he says DPJ is going to be the difference maker.
Oh, I
like it. I like it.
Yeah. I did an awards prediction today that came out today, and he was the biggest improvement player, biggest breakout. So I expect big things.
And catching up on comments, sorry, you guys. This was from the beginning of the show. I promise me and Joe did not pay Ed Hodler to say this. You guys are the best. Ed, he's a good friend of mine. Appreciate it. And Joe Gilbert, this must be your dad?
That be my dad. I did not pay him either.
We did not. We don't get paid enough by Craig or WFNY as a whole to pay for commenters. Let's be honest.
That is true.
All right. So 1-1 versus Chicago week 3. 2 things. 1. Okay. You just answered my first one. Win. 2. As an Ohio State fan, is Justin Fields starting week 3?
I believe he is. I believe that might be his first game. I believe Andy Dalton's just going to be really bad the first 2 games. And
I don't want to be that fan, but can the Browns win? Both my Ohio State fandom and some of my fantasy football teams, can the Browns win like 55-48 and Justin Fields have 6 touchdowns?
Yeah, I don't know what Chicago's really doing with Dalton starting. We've seen that. We've seen that song.
Do you know? I would say what's awesome is that we can talk about another team like this. It used to always be, I don't know what the Browns are doing. They're starting. I don't even know. Tyrod Taylor over fill in the blank. They're starting Jeff Garcia over fill in the blank. They're starting Brandon Weeden over fill in the blank. It's nice to have this happening on an opponent.
Right. I know. It is very nice.
All right. 2-1 at Minnesota.
This is a tougher than I think their record would show last year. I still think the Browns win. But I think Minnesota should be a lot better this year. They kind of had a lot of things happen to them last year. Their defense should be better, but I think the Browns come out with the win there in Stefanski's homecoming.
Yes, and I feel Dalvin Cook, top 3 running back, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, one of the best receiver duos in the NFL. I forget who their tight end is, but he just had a season-ending injury.
Irv Smith,
Irv Smith. Yeah, their offense, it'll give Browns a run for their money, minus Kirk Cousins. I have no faith in Kirk Cousins, but that's okay.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how their defense is. That's what kind of derailed them last year. They had a terrible defense, so we'll see how good they are this year.
3-1. Wow. And do you know what's weird about the Browns starting 3-1? Is I think the same, and I'm actually like not just being optimistic. I like truly think that they'll start 3-1.
Yeah.
At San Diego Superchargers, but the Los Angeles edition at the Chargers.
Yeah. This is a really hard one. Going to the West Coast and then facing a really, really talented quarterback like Justin Herbert. I could go either way on this. I'm thinking a win, but this one's one of the tougher ones to pick. I think the Chargers could be one of those teams to surprise this year and maybe threaten for a playoff spot. But I'll go with a win right now. But my confidence is not as super high as the other ones.
So you'll go with the win, or do you want to just play it safe and go with the loss?
I'll go with the loss.
Okay, I was gonna say I'd go with the loss too, just to play it safe. 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is another tough one with a young quarterback versus the Cardinals at home.
I think that's a win. I am not a huge fan of the Cardinals, especially their coach.
Oh, okay. I like the Cardinals besides their coach.
Yeah, their coach he wasn't good in college, and somehow they think he's going to be good in pros, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think this is a win. They got a weird team with like really young guys and then really, really old guys with like JJ Watt and some of the other guys. So I think this is a win.
One thing their receiving core is Deandre Hopkins, Randall Moore, rookie out of Purdue. I think he's going to have one heck of a year.
Yeah,
when Deandre Hopkins is getting so many eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, Rondale Moore was one of the fun guys to come out of this draft. I was hoping maybe the Browns would get him, but sadly he went to the Cardinals. He's going to be a fun one to watch to see how they utilize him. That's the only thing I kind of excited about seeing with the Cardinals, just how they use him. He's going to be a piece, maybe like almost like a Demetric Felton, where you'll see him in the pass game and the run game.
Yes. Yeah. That Arizona offense could be really fun. Hopefully it's not week 6 though. 4-2 home against the Broncos, October 21st. Oh, it's a Thursday night game. So it's coming off of a short week against the Cardinals. Then you have the Broncos at home Thursday night.
Even it helps that they're on Thursday, which I think home teams on Thursday night is like I think their probability is a lot higher. But I definitely have a win. I don't have trust in either Bridgewater or Locke, so whoever starts for them by that time, I don't trust either of them. So I believe a win there.
I agree. So 5-2. Week 8. Halloween, home against the Steelers.
Win. I just
nothing. Just don't even say anything. Just say win.
I we've talked about it earlier. I just think they don't match up with the Browns anymore, and that's kind of fun to say. I think Myles Garrett will have his fun against that offensive line, and I don't have a lot of confidence in Ben Roethlisberger. I don't know how his arm will just get rejuvenated out of nowhere, because it looked like a dead fish last year, and I don't expect it.
Do you know when else Ben Roethlisberger didn't look like a dead fish? Was when he didn't dive for the football in the playoffs and just let the Browns score a touchdown a minute in the game.
That just shows you where he's at in his career right now. that single play.
He's like, nah, I'll play it safe and stay healthy. I'm not going to dive on this and just get the Browns touchdown.
Made a horrible jumping attempt and then didn't run after the ball.
All right, so are we 6-2? Yeah, 6-2. Man, this is going to be another one too. At Cincinnati.
Win. They might even have a worse offensive line than the Steelers, which says a lot.
It's crazy that the AFC North probably has the 2 worst offensive lines in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When
you have Baltimore's front and then Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney looking down at you.
Yeah, right. It's wild that they're like the Browns of the old, where they just didn't. Before Stefanski came in, they just didn't worry about the offensive line for some reason in front of their young quarterback. It's like a carbon copy.
Okay, so 7. Wait, where are we now? 7-2 at New England.
I believe that might be a loss. That's going to be a tough one. Mac Jones, he played really well this preseason, and then just going into Foxborough, it's a tough environment. So I would go with a loss there.
Ooh, okay. I like it. And my computer's about to die. I'm gonna go try to find my charger quick. But all right, so if my computer dies, let's continue this without me, and I'll hop right back on.
Okay.
7-3 versus Detroit. I already know the answer to this one, so I'll be right back, Joe. Just keep talking.
Okay. Yeah, this is definitely a win. I think the Lions are the worst team in the league, if not the worst team. They have a new coach who's kind of seems like he's playing in the 60s or coaching in the 60s. But yeah, this is definitely a win in my book. So that's 8-2. So then we go to the hard stretch. I think Baltimore back-to-back weeks. That's going to be the tough one. Baltimore.
All right, I'm assuming you got the W on Detroit, right?
Yeah, we're on to Baltimore back-to-back weeks. This is the stretch.
Yeah, that's
of the
weird.
Year.
I forgot about this Baltimore back-to-back week. What is the NFL doing?
I don't know. I saw another. I forget who it was. They played their division rivals like the third last week and then the last week. The schedule's with 17 week or 18 weeks. It just seems. I think the schedule are all kind of messed up.
But you'd think that in 17 weeks, you'd find a way to not have Baltimore be a back-to-back game with a bye week in between for the Browns. It just seems very odd.
Yeah. It's super odd.
If anything, though, it favors the Browns, right? I think the Ravens have the Steelers between the two.
Yeah, right.
And the Browns have a bye week, so if anything, it kind of favors the Browns, I'd say.
Right. That's why I'm gonna go with a split here. I think they lose first one and then win the home game.
All right, so we are 8-4 with that, I think. Yeah, because we were 7-3, 8-4. No, we're not. We're 9-4. With losses to Kansas City, Los Angeles, New England. I don't know. I lost track, to be honest with you.
I had the Chiefs, Chargers, Patriots.
New England. So they are 10-3. Oh my goodness! I can only imagine Browns fans bye week if they're
with the Ravens. So 10-4.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my bad. Okay. Home against the Raiders. Time to be determined, but it's a Sunday.
Win. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. I think they're going to fall off here. I don't have much confidence in
the fighting John Gruden's getting paid $10 million a year to have one of the worst NFL teams.
Yeah,
nice.
I don't have much confidence in what they're doing.
As we say in the Discord a lot, I forget who started. I think it might have been Michael Bodie. # not the Browns.
Yeah, that's definitely them. I don't have much confidence in the Raiders.
So Raiders win 6 days later, Christmas Day, at Green Bay. As a fan of Lambeau Field and as a fan of Christmas Day, I hope there's like 3 feet of snow in Green Bay that day.
Right. Yeah. I think this is a loss. It's gonna be a tough one. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league, with Patrick Mahomes. I just think it's gonna be a hard matchup. 6 days. It's gonna be one of the fun matchups to watch. Really good test at the end of the year here, but I don't think they'll win that one.
All right, so we are up to 5 losses. Monday, January 3rd, into the new year. At Pittsburgh, Monday Night Football. Wow, you think they're going to sweep the Steelers?
Yes, I don't.
Without going back, I think they. All right, so part of me thinks that they should and will because the Browns are a much better team. But the other part of me is saying it's the Steelers. There's no way the Browns can sweep the Steelers.
Yeah, I I just don't have confidence in Pittsburgh, and I think the matchup is just it just favors the Browns in a couple of different areas, a couple key areas, and I just don't have a lot of confidence in Pittsburgh. I don't think they make the playoffs.
Oh, actually, I agree with that because I think in the AFC North, it's without looking at the wild cards, who would be the second wild card. I think it's Cleveland and Baltimore. One wins the division. Hopefully, the Browns. One wins the one gets one of the two wild card spots.
Yeah.
So last week of the season, the Browns are 11-5, home against the Bengals. I feel like at 11-5, they wouldn't be able to lock up the number one seed.
No.
But at 11-5, they'd probably be playing for the division.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be. This one is a win, I think. But it depends on if they play their starters. So we could be finally in the position where we don't have to play our starters, and we're resting them. So it depends on that. But I think they'll win anyways. As we said, their offensive line is just terrible in Cincinnati, and Joe Burrow's coming off an injury, serious injury, and I just don't. Sadly, I don't know if Burrows is going to make it till then. I hope he does because it's just. I feel like this is Derek, not Derek. What's Derek's brother's name? David Carr. I just feel like this is, or Tim Couch, as you want to use.
Why do you have to hurt Browns fans like that?
I just feel like this is. We've seen this so many times in the league. It's just. I don't understand why teams continually do this to put their young quarterback in front of just a terrible offensive line that's going to get them hurt. And we saw it last year. They got hurt.
Or because it's easy to hate on the Pittsburgh Steelers now, why you put a 60-year-old quarterback in front of a horrible offensive line and draft a running back and a tight end with your first two draft picks in the NFL draft.
That's another reason, yes.
Yeah. So you have the Browns going 12-5. The only reason I wouldn't say that they'd rest their starters is because, one, they wouldn't have the one seed locked up at 11-5 unless the NFL is really weird.
Yeah,
there's no way.
This 17 game one it's gonna be weird to kind of figure out what a good record is.
Yeah,
because we knew in the past what a good record would be, like 2 losses, 1 loss, 3 losses. Yeah, this year.
And for Browns fans not familiar with the playoffs, reseeding happens after the first round. So say the one seed, no matter what plays, the worst seed remaining. Mm-hmm. So whether it's the 4th seed or the 7th seed. So if the Browns can lock up the 2 seed, that would mean that they would play the second worst team remaining, which seemed important compared to if they had the 3 seed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I just had to remind Browns fans of that because, I mean, when was the last time you talked the playoffs realistically in the preseason?
Right. Not even last year.
Yeah, exactly. So I tend to agree with Joe. 12-5 seems realistic. 13-4 seems also realistic. But
I think 12
the
and
Browns.
5 is... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's the Browns and it's Cleveland. So it's
Obviously,
better to be on the bottom end and hope for the best rather than hoping for the best and end up at the bottom.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, 12-5 I really feel like is a really strong possibility. Like it's gotta go really wrong for them to go even like way worse than that. So I think that's the upside is even better than 12-5, as we were talking about earlier in the season. I think they can be better than that. We kind of wavered on a couple of those games. It can get better than that, but 12-5 just seems like the really comfortable spot.
12-5 seems like taking care of business and not doing anything else.
That's a good way to say it.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a perfect way of saying it. Yeah.
Which is weird. 12-5, and it's like if the Browns don't go, let's be honest, if the Browns don't go 11-6, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Yeah. Well, high expectation, man. I expect them to win this division. I don't know if we want to go to that prediction. But
all right, let's do it. All right, well, you already said your prediction.
Yeah.
I don't really have a prediction on that, to be honest, but I'd go with yours.
Yeah, I think they'll win the division. Baltimore has a bit of a more difficult schedule, just a tad bit different. So the key differences are they play Miami and LA, so that's a advantage to the Browns. But overall, I think the Browns win the division, and probably not the number one seed though. I think Kansas City is just in the league of their own in their division, and they'll lock that up there. But I think a top three, definitely a top 3 seed, winning the division.
I like it. And as far as predictions go, we won't talk about anything else until later in the season because I don't want to jinx it. Or
we don't talk Super Bowl here yet.
Let's just take care of business first.
We'll take it like the Browns do, one game at a time.
Yeah, but as Browns fan, it's still just so weird to me. If the Browns seriously, like I just said, if the Browns don't go 11-6, I'm going to be angry. It's just weird.
Yeah.
It used to be if the Browns don't go 6-11, I'm going to be angry.
Yeah, I know. It's a nice position to be in finally.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, so we are over an hour into this thing, Joe. Is there anything else you want to add to the Browns?
Are you ready
for my Browns season preview?
Are you ready for my bold prediction? I kind of hinted at it.
Just one or multiple?
This is the biggest one. I don't really have any other ones that I can think of right now. But
if I'm getting the vibe that you're sitting off right now, you better be knocking on wood while you're saying this.
Oh, I am.
Okay. Go. Do it.
Baker Mayfield will be a Pro Bowler, and he will be, at the end of the year, he'll be considered a top 5 quarterback, with the likes of even better than Josh Allen, I believe. And I think he will there will be no even discussion by the end of the year if he what kind of extension. They'll just say how much you want and you get it.
If he's better than Josh Allen, that means he's getting more than $40 million, by the way.
Yeah. And I really believe he'll be up there with like the Russell Wilson's spot, kind of in that area. So
Joe has to compare another small quarterback to another one. Come on. Of all the quarterbacks you could have compared him to, why'd it have to be another short quarterback?
Hey, it just kind of fit that way, but yeah, kind of worked out that way. Yeah, I expect.
I thought you were going somewhere way different with that bold prediction, so I'm glad with whatever you said.
Okay.
That's why I said knock on wood when you were saying it.
Oh, okay.
But I top 5 quarterback, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
Top 10 quarterback.
I think he's top 10 now, but
I agree. But we also have to remember Baker Mayfield's not only playing for team success this year, but no matter what he says, he's playing for the money bag too. He's playing for a big payday, just like Jadeveon Clowney is.
Yeah. And I said it in the awards prediction today. I think he'll be the MVP of the team, or the MVP of the offense. Myles Garrett's going to be the best player on the team. But yeah, I believe he'll be the driving force. We saw it by the end of the year last year where it became a pass first offense. I think it really will become that this season with Baker. We saw it just in a glimpse of it in the preseason. He looked really smooth in that last preseason game, and I think we'll just see more of that come the actual season. So I expect big things. Speaking
of Baker in the offense, I'm surprised no one's made a shirt that just says all the offensive playmakers in like a list down it. You know what I'm talking about? Like Baker and Nick and Kareem and OBJ. Yeah. I mean, come on, people, make some money. I know the Cleveland T-shirt company loves making their money. Just it's as simple as literally writing all their names on a shirt in a list, and people would buy it.
I know. Yeah, I agree. That's a good shirt.
All right, so anything else, Joe, besides your bold prediction?
No, let's just have fun, man. I can't wait. Can't wait for Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday this is a good weekend for football. Saturday, Ohio State, Oregon. Sunday, Browns, Chiefs. prime time.
I hate the
not
noon
prime time,
kickoffs,
but
by the way.
do you know who hates them more? This is a Browns podcast, but do you know who hates noon kickoffs more?
Who?
A team like Oregon.
Oh yeah,
traveling from the West Coast, who's playing a 9 a.m. local time game.
Yeah, that's true. It's just insane to me that they're playing at noon, but that's neither here nor there. They're obviously
I
making
hate
money
noon
on
kickoffs
Fox.
as well. Absolutely, I hate noon kickoffs as well. But it gives them Ohio State an advantage. So hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, good point.
All right, so Joe and I will be back Sunday post game, just like we always. Well, not always are. We just started last year, but we'll be back with the Browns Instant Insights, WFMY podcast edition. Sunday, probably 4:25 start, probably like 8:00-ish.
8:30, yeah, during Sunday night
football. Yes, exactly. And just please, Browns fans, I know I said this already. Please don't overreact. No matter what happens, whether it's a blowout in one direction or the other, whether it's a close game in one direction or the other, please do not overreact. It's just one game of 17.
Yes, just breathe.
And please, Browns fans, if you can, stay off of Twitter. Most of the time, but especially Sunday.
Or just restrain yourself from tweeting things that are insane. That would be another.
That is like that is what Twitter should say. Literally, when you hit the Twitter app on your phone, as it's loading up, it should say, "Please restrain yourself from tweeting insane things."
That should be the motto of Twitter.
Exactly. All right, Joe, and everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm Josh. He's Joe. And go Browns.
Go Browns.